Now we move into discovering your own self-concept and having an experience of that. Because what the heck are we talking about? Well, we're talking about changing yourself quickly and automatically so the results in your life shift forever. So if you're having any self-sabotage, you're having any procrastination, you're holding yourself back, there's something going on with your self-concept. Underlined with your values and beliefs, your identity is all mixed in and something is holding you back. Your system, your nervous system, your unconscious mind, the deeper parts of you says something's not right. So if you want to move past that, what we want to do is understand our self-concept and then put in some really healthy elements that take into account your entire existence, all the things that are going on that help you move forward. So let's have a look at the first exercise inside the book. I've got it right here, discovering your self-concept. And the very first thing here is going through the very first checklist. So let's have a look. So in the book, the whole group that he is taking through this exercise talk about the exercise as they do it, after they've done it, and this is what the whole book's about. And just getting those stories about what they felt, what they saw, what they heard, what they thought as they went through this exercise. So the very first one, process elements of the self-concept. The first thing is, if you've got an example of I'm a kind person, that's the example that gets used sometimes through the book. I'm a kind person. And think about a quality for you now. What's a quality for you? For example, for me, I can say I'm definitely, what's the word? Someone who is inquisitive, someone who is curious. When I find out about these techniques, I find I go down a deep rabbit hole because I'm curious to find a faster way to help someone. I'm curious about doing something more thoroughly. I'm curious about helping someone transform in a moment, but permanently, right? In a way that's ecological, that's not going to mess up any other part of their life. And that's why I was attracted to this model, because this model will help you shift ecologically, taking into account all the moving bits of your life. So you can do it fast or slow, depending on what we're talking about. And so let's have a look at the process elements of a self-concept in the book. The very first one is the number of examples. So how many examples do you have of being kind? Or how many examples do you have, for me, would be of being curious, like of being inquisitive? And I can tell you I've got hundreds, because I've done that many YouTube videos where I've watched them, I've read that many books on, studying anxiety, studying adoption, which is an area I've worked in, and these are two things that affected me at the start of my journey. I've been studying leadership, I've been studying all the NLP techniques as I prepare to teach NLP practitioner in the new year. This is still 2021 now, December 31st actually, New Year's Eve. And I'm doing a video because I was motivated to get this out there to help some people move forward. So I got lots of examples, and so that was the very first part on the list. How many examples do you have of your self-concept, of your quality? Focusing on one quality. What's a quality that is just you through and through? Well, I'm curious, right? So I'm a curious person. I'm very interested in these things because they're going to help me, they're going to help someone else, they're going to help someone else, right? Through my journey. The second thing was the location. Where are these pictures in your personal space? What the hell are you talking about, Matt? Well, this is very interesting. If you close your eyes and you think about your number one quality that you were just thinking about, for me, it is my curiosity when it comes to these techniques. And if I close my eyes now and I say, where are my examples that I just brought up in question 1, my examples? And when I close my eyes, they're all in front of me and they're in rows. these pictures. These are images. This is just how my brain's storing them. And they're images. Now for you, they might be feelings, they might be sounds, they might be stored in your body, they might be somewhere, but think about them as an image and bring them in front of you and just see, where are they stored? The examples are there. A visual person will have no trouble with this. An auditory person, sound person, or a kinesthetic feeling person, or an auditory digital, which is a thinking person, may struggle. Well, just go into your head and say, where do they live in your head? But let's stick with the visual field for the moment. Where are those pictures? Where are those images? They might be little tiny images, they might be big images, they might be filed, in a Filodex. This is something that you believe though. You believe this about yourself. This is your self-concept. I am definitely a curious person. I wouldn't have done this YouTube channel. And mine are in rows like this. And there's 200 of them, I don't know, there's lots. I can't count them. They go off into the distance, right? So I'm very certain that I'm a curious person. And so we've got the number of examples, we have the location. Think about where they are in your space. Now we go into simultaneous, well, I can't even say it, simultaneous or sequential. What does that mean? Well, are they all there at the same time, or are they kind of in a row and they're kind of in order? And you know that one's in front of the other. Some people, yep, this example's there, but I know the others are back there, and those other ones that are back there are really, they appear as each one disappears off the list, then another one's there in order. Whereas other people, they have them sequential, should I say, simultaneous. They're all there at the same time. Mine are there at the same time. I can see them all when something is in my self-concept. Alright, so this is just one quality we're exploring now. It's fascinating later on when you explore other things that are not true, and then you can start playing with these. Okay, so we've got a number of examples, location, simultaneous or sequential. Then we move into the fourth element, which are the modalities. What the hell is a modality, I hear you ask? Well, a modality are the modes that we take information in. So look, I'll read it from the book. So all the major modalities included: visual, auditory, kinesthetic, and feeling. So if you think about visual, auditory, kinesthetic, feeling, these are the main ways that we can absorb. We absorb a lot of these qualities. Because, the qualities of me being curious, I'm not using smell, I'm not using taste for being curious in my example. I'm on YouTube and I'm reading books. I'm visually seeing them first. And then I'm thinking about them second. I'm getting a feeling about them third. And I might hear a YouTube video as well. Alright, so this is how the information gets into me. And so when I think about my examples, I think about, okay, these examples that I've just placed out in front of me as images, well, clearly they're visual, but what's in the images? Well, some of them are books, and so I can see, like this one, I can see the letters on the page, or I can see the cover of the book, right? So visual. Some of them are sounds, where I've heard something on maybe an audible where there is no sound, or maybe I've listened to an audio book. And so some of them have got sound in them, where I've heard some nugget of gold from some guru, Others might be visual from YouTube videos and auditory, where I've heard them, right? So there's a lot of things coming through. And of course, all of those spark thoughts. So there'll be thoughts, which then would fire off feelings in the body. And so all of these images are there in front of me. And there's a lot of visual, some auditory, and there's some feelings in them. A feeling of certainty, I think you could say, across all of them. They give me certainty, which is why I'm drawn towards them. So really fascinating. The next one is association. This is the fifth one, is association. So that means, can you step into each picture, each example, or are you seeing it from the outside? So that's associated or disassociated. So can you easily step into them? Now, some people they see them but they don't step into them, and others can just step right in. Yep, I am in that experience and I am there seeing it through my own eyes, like I'm at the computer looking at the YouTube video, or I've got the book in my hand and I am reading the book and hearing that one-liner that go, oh my God, that's going to change my life, right? So what is it for you in your example of your quality? It's fascinating. This is your self-concept and the components that you can start to play with. The next one is the sub-modalities, all right? So I can jump into the picture and I can also see it from the outside. I can do both. But then we move into sub-modalities. What's a sub-modality? Well, it's kind of like a recipe. You've got the modalities of visual, auditory, kinesthetic, and auditory digital, right? So these are the elements of see, hear, feel, and think. Inside those, especially the see, hear, and feel, there are components which the field of NLP has broken apart, and you can start to explore these, and it will be very helpful if you have someone like myself who's an NLP practitioner master level who can help you work through that. But in the book there's all sorts of things. So here we go. Here's some examples of what are submodalities. Let's break down one of them. So they're the smaller elements within the modality. Which submodality elements? For example, it could be a picture, it could be the size, the brightness of the picture, the distance, is it a movie or still? Is it tonality, any tonality in there? Is there any volume with the sound, right? Now we're moving into auditory. Is there a feeling, and is there a feeling in the body, right? So is there a feeling that comes up? And so basically these elements, and I keep on reading, make them robust and substantial, real and convincing to you. So what are the elements that help you really believe that those examples mean that you are a kind person, or for me, that I am a curious person? And for me, let's see if I go into it, and I go to a couple of those examples near the front row, let's say, on my space and time, and I go into one of them, and it's a color picture. It's a movie, because I'm generally watching YouTube videos, but even when I'm reading a book, I'm following with my finger. The picture is kind of near and a bit to the left a little bit, and there's not a lot of sound. There's a little bit, but not much. Actually, I think the sound's coming from over here, coming from my right. And the feeling, it's just a feeling in my heart of certainty. There you go. There's some elements to play with, with my self-concept. So these are the process elements of your self-concept. These are the building blocks which you can start to play with. You've now got a lot of levers to be the puppet master of your own world. Sounds good, doesn't it? So that is the process elements, which is called checklist 4 in the book. And then what he does is he goes into an exercise of changing your self-concept. And so he gets the people to go into groups of 3 for 15 minutes. And in that session, what he does is he wants you to start by silently exploring your own experience for about 5 minutes, guided by these questions. And then share and discuss what you found with others and help each other find out what you do by observing non-verbal gestures and asking good questions. After you have shared, I want you to start experimenting with changing elements of your database. Now, this is what you've effectively got with your self-concept. It is a database, and you can change it, right? So this is amazing. And so you can notice how the changes and how it changes your experience. And one thing you can do is go down the checklist, which we just read out, changing each of the variables I have listed. Try adding or subtracting examples in your database and see how it feels. Whatever number you have, try making it considerably more or less in your database. If your database is sequential, try making it simultaneous, and vice versa. Try adding or subtracting modalities. Find out what the difference it makes to associate into an example as if you were there, and then disassociate by stepping back out. So it's very interesting. I'll probably have to break this one down a little bit later. Now, when you start doing this, it messes with you. It's because sometimes you don't like it. Well, I don't like that that's taken away my certainty that I'm a curious person. Or you can strengthen it by boosting some of these things, by brightening the picture, by bringing the picture closer to you, by adding more examples, or if there were any counterexamples, converting them into lessons. There's a whole lot of things you can do. So playing, let us say here, so play with changing the submodalities so that you use the database, making the pictures or sounds more or less intense, making them closer or further away, larger or smaller. So there you go. That is the beginning of the book.